Have a lot of debt, issues with your student loan payments, or IRS problems? Get the answers to all your legal questions and more on Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. on TV 27.
So.
Ellie Burgundy. That sounds like a rock star name. Like,
All right, you guys ready?
yeah.
Segment 2 begins now. Welcome back to the program. My name is Justin Clark. Any question that you may have will be answered at 321-282-1055. Here with Allie Mack, Orlando radio legend McDowell, and the beautiful Brianna is kind of making sure that we're on Facebook, although it might be upside down, left to right. Speaking of left to right, upside down, up and down, we have Alyssa Green here from Tom James. Well, here's the thing. So certainly there are days where I eat too much pizza, McDowell. I mean, I just eat too much, don't work out, whatever it is, and you feel fat. You just do. I mean, this happens to all of us, right?
Bloated.
My understanding is there are certain colors that you can wear, or even certain patterns that you can wear to slim you out. This is the most important question of the day, I think, if you ask me. Give us some idea, Alyssa. What are patterns, what are colors that you can wear to make us look a little more slim?
So with that one, I definitely would recommend the charcoal, like if you do a charcoal gray. I'm not a huge fan, it's going to go against the grain what a lot of people think. Black suits, unless it has some kind of texture to it, that's kind of like an everyman suit if you don't really dress up or anything.
Now, is that for women and men both, or is
With
it just
women,
for one?
With women it's different. Having a power black suit is a must in the closet. For men, actually black suits, unless you're going to like a formal occasion or something like that, where it's a black tie event, that's usually not what I give my clients on the first go around. So I will say, doing a charcoal and having something like that one where it's like slimming dark colors, you can do a black as long as if it has some kind of texture to it, like even like a soft, maybe a shadow stripe, so not like a hard like gangster stripe or anything like a chalk stripe. I wouldn't do anything like that. But a shadow stripe with stripes. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people are like, don't put me in anything like that.
Stay away from the
Yeah, just subtle colors like that one. Another good thing too is actually to wear darker colors. If you're wearing a darker jacket and then lighter trousers. That also gives the illusion too of like a slimming effect as well, especially for my guys who have a little bit of a tummy or something like that. It draws the eyes to the legs versus going to like the waist area.
How about vertical stripes?
Probably stay away from vertical stripes unless you're a trim guy and you're going for the fashion forward look. That actually was kind of coming in for a little bit to do shirts with a vertical, a little horizontal stripe.
Alright, so I don't wear suits a lot, even though, I'm a big famous lawyer, right, Meg? But I'm not a big suit guy. It seems like most of the time I don't find myself in the courtroom, thankfully. So I deal with people going through problems most of the time. So I don't want them to feel like I'm some big stuffy suit guy. So quite frankly, I'm just lazy and I like to wear whatever I want to wear. But most of the time I find myself wearing a shirt kind of like this, a button-up shirt, sleeves rolled up a little bit, and jeans. But the shirt is always untucked. I hear all these advertisements now for a company called Untuck It or something like that.
Yes.
I mean, what is the rule on if you wear a shirt untucked, like a button-up shirt like this? I mean, how long should it be? And how does this untuck it thing really work? I mean, is this like fake or is this for real?
No, honestly, we've even incorporated it into our own line too. We have an untucked model for a more casual client. And usually it comes in probably, I would say, 3 inches to 4 inches shorter than what a normal standard dress shirt is, and dress shirts are typically come pretty long. So as long as it kind of hits you, I would say maybe 3 inches, a little bit below your actual waistband, then that would probably be a good measure of like, okay, this shirt fits, it's not too long, it's not too short.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
So I do wear suits sometimes, don't get me wrong. When I do wear a suit, I have to wear cufflinks. So I have to wear shirts with French cuffs. Are these still in, or am I sort of like getting old?
No, cufflinks to me, and maybe this is a personal problem, but honestly, cufflinks will never go out, especially for dress shirts.
Sweet.
It's just one of those things. It's hard to find in the store. A lot of people are going more for like a button cuff or a Palazzi cuff, we call it too.
What's a Palazzi cuff,
So
really?
a Palazzi cuff is just
uneducated.
So
Just
it's really a button cuff, but it has a little bit of like a mitered like edge, so it's a little bit more of like a cut. The edge is kind of like cut off, so it's not like it doesn't get dingy or something on the edges. So it's hard to explain necessarily unless you book an appointment. There you
gonna have to Google it.
Yeah, you're gonna go. But yeah, that's kind of
Or
the
book
thing.
an appointment.
Yeah,
Or book an
French
appointment.
cuts will always. So I love that.
Alright.
Honestly, when I wear my dress shirts, it just kind of is more empowering, especially if you're going to a formal occasion and you want to look your part. So.
Behind the Law, 321-282-1055. Speaking with Alyssa Green from Tom James Company. They're the clothing company. It's the clothing company that comes to your office or your home and measures you and sends you the personalized clothing that's measured and tailored just for you. How do people find out more information about you, Alyssa?
So you could actually find me, it's a.green at tomjames.com, or you can also call to schedule, book an appointment. It's 321-230-2993, and I'm happy to take any kind of consultations or anything like that. I do have my Facebook. It's that Alyssa. It's OHITSATALYSSA.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it took me a minute. I was like,
I'm
it's
gonna
filling
look
it out.
you
Yeah. Oh, it's
So-
that Alyssa, so you can see some more of my work as well.
While I do insist on wearing cufflinks and I love them when I wear a suit, I have bought several tie bars,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never been able to actually pull the trigger on wearing one. What's the deal on tie bar? I mean, when do you wear a tie bar? Is it, you know what I'm talking about, Mick, with a tie bar?
Yeah.
It's a thing that goes across the tie and I guess holds it in
Oh,
place.
yeah.
I still have one in my drawer.
Yeah, I have a bunch in my drawer right now, you know,
Yeah.
but I haven't pulled the trigger on it. At what point should a dude wear a tie bar?
I mean, honestly, it's for definitely, I would say, formal occasions. Like, I wouldn't just necessarily, if you're a banker and that's that kind of that banker look, I feel like that's more in line with that versus necessarily like attorneys for me. But
Is that
that's
like wedding?
Yeah, I mean, you can wear it for weddings and stuff. I mean, I honestly am more of like an optional. I prefer just more of a classic look for this tie bar.
All right, so do the shoes, let's say we're going brown. Obviously, I think we know if you're wearing brown belt, you wear brown shoes, or black and black.
Sure.
And we all kind of get that. But does it have to be the same shade of brown, or can you mix it up a little bit? How do you match shoes and belts?
Belts, that's a non-negotiable. Shoes and belts should match. Like, that's just in my
I
book.
hate to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nick.
shoes and belts should
Nick
match.
just resigned.
The only caveat to that is it's only if there's like a color and maybe a casual shoe where it's like brown and then there's a little bit of brown in the shoe, then you can maybe mix it up a little bit, but that would be about it. Like, it have to be the exact color. We don't really mix with that. It
You
doesn't
have
do
to
it.
fade
doesn't
one
do
of
it.
your browns
Yeah.
to
Really?
match.
Yeah.
Now I've
You
got
just
some
buy
work
the
to do.
shoes and belts together and then you'll be fine. No worries, no biggie.
So, I mean, I think most of us remember the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire days, right? Regis Philbin, correct? I mean, that was the
Yeah.
first time I ever remember just a solid tie. You remember he would wear
Yeah.
a solid colored
There'd
tie
be like
every
metallic or like some colors.
pretty,
but yeah.
pretty intense sort of ties.
Yeah.
Do people still wear solid ties?
They do. I honestly see a lot of people who aren't confident necessarily, they don't have a lot in their wardrobe, go for a solid tie. But if you're gonna do solid, also if you do like a texture tie, so have a solid but have maybe some kind of texture to it. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a wild pattern or anything like that. To step outside the box a little, you'll see a lot of printed ties where it's still solid but it just has a little bit of texture to it. So I think that just jazzes up that whole look without it being like, I don't know what matches with what tie and what shirt, and I don't want to go too crazy with the patterns and stuff, just because I know a lot of guys aren't super confident.
What
with
about the
that.
skinny ties?
Skinny
I've
ties?
seen that a lot as
Yeah, those are kind of a little, I'm going on a little bit more for a slimmer guy. If you're a slimmer guy and a trimmer guy, go for a skinny tie, but if you're not, that's just gonna make you like
well.
look
So my
wild.
husband, he can still wear the slim.
Yeah, if he's
Okay.
a trimmer guy and he's like a little bit more on the trimmer side, of course, go
So,
for that
some
one.
of
but
us
yeah.
would look kind of foolish.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah, it's gonna, for my stockier guys, probably stay away from
Wear
that.
the chunky ties.
Yeah. I mean, you wanna go
Or
overboard.
just not wear a
Or
tie.
just-
If it's over 4 inches, no. You probably don't wanna go too wide, but like, yeah.
That is Alyssa Green of Tom James Company. They are a clothing company. Where are you based out of anyway?
So we actually have our office in Maitland, so it's right here in Maitland. The thing is, I actually go to my clients' homes and offices to make it really easy, just kind of like Justin mentioned.
But
so.
do you have a store?
There is no storefront, it's just an office, but I don't have any like there's not samples where you can throw it on or anything like that, but yeah.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
And you might not want to talk about this, but
Oh no, I'm an
don't
open
worry.
book, let's
All right.
do this.
Uh-oh.
So I can go to a big box store, whatever, and buy a nice suit, but it's not tailored to me, of course, but it's a nice suit, and it costs X. I'm going to hire Alyssa from Tom James to come to my office. Give me a similar suit, but it's tailored to me. What percentage markup is it on your end? How much more am I paying for your service versus just going to the big box store?
So what's funny is actually we're pretty comparable to even the big box stores. Like, I mean, as far as Hugo Boss, you're getting off the rack, that kind of thing. You're paying probably like $800 to $1,200, maybe even more, depending on what you get.
For what?
For a suit.
For suits
For a
and
suit.
stuff. We start about $8.99.
They thought you were talking about a car.
Jeez. Priced
Yeah.
me out already.
Yeah.
$800
Well,
bucks.
it is a little bit more of an investment. I will say that. But with that, of course, you get the
Well, it's
custom.
custom tailored.
It's
as
custom.
well,
It's
so
actually
it's
specifically
made
made
Well,
for
I
you.
get it.
So,
I
and
get
then
it.
not to mention it lasts a lot longer. So the average suit usually lasts about maybe 2 to 3 years. These can last up to 5 to 7, depending
And
on
you
the
were
care.
saying that you guys leave a little bit, where as far as you can take it in some, you can take it out.
So that's the other beauty with us too. Our clothing is highly tailorable. So we actually build in about 30 pounds of fabric. So if you gain weight, we can actually let it out. If you lose weight, we can actually bring it in. And then since it's cut specifically for you, the actual like the way it's cut in will just fit a little bit better than if you just chop up something off the rack. So that's kind of the beauty of it. You can let it in, like let it out. So that's another thing. Is a lot of guys I have where it's like, oh, I've had this suit for 3 years and I've gained some weight. All right, cool. We can let it out a little bit and give you some more and give you more, like double the life of your suit, basically.
I remember Dave Letterman insisted on double-breasted suits.
Yeah.
I see most people with 2 buttons. I even see 1 button. Sometimes I still see 3 button suits. I can't keep up. And you know, let's be honest. Life goes by quickly and styles change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, bell bottoms.
Here,
Do you
here.
remove
Bell-
buttons?
Bell bottoms will be back here before you
Oh
know
my
it, even though
gosh.
we're still on skinny
God
jeans,
willing.
is my understanding.
Oh, man.
We're going to ask Alyssa Green of Tom James Company on the other side of this break. What suits are back in style now? If you're going to invest money in a suit, should it be 3 button, double breasted, 1 button? What should that be? Mick Dolan, that's right on the other side of this break. My name is Justin Clark, 321-282-1055. Behind the Law on Bud 94.1.
How about a Nehru jacket?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You guys are too young for that.
What? What is it?
It was an old hippie thing. It was, I can't
Nehru
even describe.
jacket?
Yeah, they called it the Nehru. The guy from India, there was an Indian prime minister. His name was Nehru.
Oh yeah, the collars.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that was
So we
big.
have something similar to it's a banded collar.
I think we
So I
have
do
to
that
go
with
back
shirts
on
sometimes.
the
But my
cotton
guys are
back
like,
on.
oh, I don't want to wear.
Well, you were talking about bell bottoms, and I'm
So
thinking.
it's a
Yeah.
list of
Yeah.
Yay.
Sometimes it's always not, that one has like a little
Oh,
more.
you're right.
fold.
By the way, for your
Yeah.
first time interview on the radio,
Really?
Yeah,
you're doing great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm telling
Way
you.
to pump me up, guys. Appreciate you.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's a lot of people just freeze up.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's surprising. I mean, it's pretty laid back. It's like-
Well, yeah, but if you've never done it before,
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I talk on the phone all day, so it's kind of similar.
Well, you know your stuff, so.
Anything else in
Thank you.
particular you want to hit on right now?
Oh, I mean,
Am I
honestly,
missing
yeah.
Big picture stuff.
Keep
Okay.
it whatever's more interesting for
Do
you
you
guys.
just tailor just to men or to women?
I'm actually
as well?
starting to work
I
with women
actually was
right
gonna
now.
ask you that.
Yeah, I'm
Alright,
working
for that
Yep.
too.
Ready?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show. Another half hour ahead of Behind the Law on Bud 94.1. My name is Justin Clark. That is Allie Mack. Next to her is Orlando radio legend Mick Dolan. The beautiful Brianna is making sure we're live on social media platforms at ATTY Justin Clark. Look, if you have any questions, any legal question whatsoever, I want you to call me. That's what I'm here. 321-282-1055. I know we talk about whatever's on our mind, Mick, but at the end of the day, it's called Behind the Law. And if you have legal questions, I want you to think of us first. We would never charge you to come in. There's no consultation fee. I promise we'll be nice to you and treat you.
There's never a charge on this radio show. either.
And that's exactly
Free
right.
as all else.
So if you have any questions at all, 321-282-1055. The website, www.youhavepower.com. Bringing back in Alyssa Green here of Tom James Company. It's a clothing company. This is the company that comes to you and gives you tailored suits and even other types of clothes. They come and actually measure you. You know what I mean? So they know exactly what your size is currently. Even, you know, if you're like me, the size changes a little bit, might fluctuate some. depending on
That's the
certain
way it is with everybody.
depending on certain lifestyle choices that you're making currently. You know what I mean?
Do you know anybody who's never changed size? I mean, never grown, never gotten heavier?
Not
never-
really. No, I think it happens to the best of us. You know, I
Always.
think so.
Everybody.
The question is, it goes back to what type of suit should someone buy now? Like, if you're spending $1,000 on a suit, I imagine you want to invest in this thing for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and you're not
of
wearing it
course.
every day, so it's going to stick around for 2 or 3 years. So you want to kind of stay with the current trends. I think back to Late Night with David Letterman. Always a double-breasted suit. Remember this? Am I making this up in my head, or is this true? Always a double-breasted suit. I remember the double-breasted suit, but I haven't seen one on a guy in forever, right? I remember when I first started wearing suits, it was always 3 buttons. And then I remember someone was like, dude, no one wears 3-button suits anymore. You have to wear a 2-button suit. I think this is a big decision when you're buying a suit, maybe paying $1,000 for a specially tailor-made suit for you. Alyssa, what should I get?
I honestly would opt for a 2-button always. A 2-button will always be in style. 3 buttons, whatever how many buttons, goes in and out of style. 2-button, go with the classic, either a notch lapel. What's a little bit more fashion forward right now is doing a peak lapel, so a little bit bigger on the lapel. Just you could do something like that one if you want to be a little more fashion forward. But classic, just go with side vents. Usually most of my clients love doing side vents, 2-button, notch lapel, and you're in good shape for the most part.
Dry cleaning. We're taking care of this suit that we've invested some money in. Are there any certain dry cleaning instructions? Any certain things I need to tell my dry cleaner when we go to get these things cleaned?
So what's cool about my company is that we use all natural fabrics in the construction of the garment. So it's actually self-cleaning. So the cottons and the wools, if you have like a lot of smells, like let's say you hug somebody with a lot of perfume or something like that, if you hang it up, the smells tend to fall out of it, and also depending on the fabrics you get, the wrinkles can tend to fall out of it as you go with a nicer quality fabric.
So you can't dry clean?
So you can dry clean, of course. Dry cleaning, honestly, with heavy use with our stuff, probably once a quarter. So once every 2 or 3 months, take it to the dry cleaners, and honestly, like pressing for the most part, if you want to take it to go get pressed, that would be it. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much standard care, unless of course you do something like, maybe the buttons are a little bit sensitive or something like that. But yeah, I mean, go with a reputable dry cleaner. It's not like there's something crazy that you have to do or anything. But yeah.
Whoa, you said dry clean once a month?
Once
Every
every quarter, so once every 2 to 3 months, yeah. With
So-
heavy use, yeah.
This
That's
is
with
suit.
heavy use.
We're talking suits here.
Yeah, we're talking suits.
Not pants, not shirts. Suits.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what about the pants with the suit?
Yeah, even like I'm talking about that. It's
So
honestly.
you don't have to clean them very often.
So you don't have to clean them very often.
Well,
Unless of
unless you
course
spill-
I mean, if you spill something on it, or you're like really
Don't go
sweaty or
jogging
something
in it
like
or
that,
play
yeah.
basketball in it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. But I mean, yeah, that's the beauty of it. Since we use natural fabrics, wool is actually self-cleaning.
Really?
This is shocking to me,
Yeah.
by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. Listen closely, especially you guys out there if you wear a suit often. Alyssa is telling us that we only have to send this thing to the dry cleaners once a quarter, which is every
No.
3 months.
Yes, and I will tell you though, you should have a 2-week rotation of this. If you're doing suits a lot, you should have a 2-week rotation of suits.
Okay, so
To
10
have
suits,
ants, yeah.
essentially.
So if you have like 10 to 12 suits, depending, yeah.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have to get those cleaned very often. You
Yeah,
don't
well,
wear
that's
them
what I
that
mean.
much.
When you're having like rotation of that, like if you're wearing it like maybe once every.
You guys
2
are
weeks,
so
yeah.
far over my head.
My dry cleaner fans actually just canceled the show, by the way. They're never listening again.
And they were paying big money.
Yeah.
Dang.
They're done.
You took them to the cleaners.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, that's
Alyssa, we
okay.
keep talking about men's suits, but do you
Yeah.
guys also tailor for women? Do you guys
So,
do women tailored
I'm actually
suits?
getting into women's garments. It's a little bit trickier because women, we like our stuff a little closer to the body. It takes a few more fittings. With a man, the fittings usually take 1 or 2 times to get the pattern down. With women, it might take 4 to 5 times. So just depending if you have like already a favorite garment that I can measure off of, then we can kind of talk about getting into like the women's side of things, as long as you're patient. That's kind of the biggest thing. I'm never like one to be like, oh, like under promising. I'm gonna over promise you anything. It usually takes a little bit more of a process, but yes, I am.
Is it
starting
the
to
same
take that
price?
So it's
Starting price as the
the
men's?
starting price for women is gonna be $12.49. Just because we do the executive level, so it's a little bit level up, just because I want to make sure that like it fits properly and everything too. So since we're supposed
And
to
women
body.
are pickier.
Yeah, women are usually a little bit pickier, but know, the beauty of of women is that once you get their pattern down, unless they fluctuate a lot or something like that, you have a pretty much a loyal client because women usually obviously like clothing a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of open with it.
Behind the Law, talking to Alyssa Green of Tom James Company, talking about your wardrobe and how to update that wardrobe. Any questions? 321-282-1055. Watch live on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark, and you're going to ask us questions live right there as well. Let me ask you this. So, I grew up, everyone always say, if you're going to a meeting, an important meeting as a dude, wear that red tie. The power tie. The power red tie. Is the power red tie still around? Is this still legit?
Power red tie.
Yeah.
Wow.
You've never heard that?
Something tells me
Yeah.
that there's a no there.
Oh my
she laughed at me.
gosh.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those things where if you're political, sure, go for the power red tie. I honestly am more of a fan of like softer colors, like if you're going to maybe do like a burgundy or something like that. So not like maybe a hard red, like you're next up in line to like run for city council or anything like that. So.
Well, Alyssa, we have a question
Yeah.
from one
Okay.
of our viewers.
Perfect.
This is from Josh. Let's say I have a Tom James style without the Tom James budget. So what store would you recommend?
Wow. Well, that's tough to say, honestly. I can't really endorse necessarily other stores. I would just say shop
Kmart.
around. Yeah, Kmart, right. Try
Are they
to
still in business?
I don't know.
No.
Oh.
Try to go somewhere that
Are
is
they?
definitely more personalized. If you're a person where it's like you have the style and stuff, shopping around maybe there's a lot of online retailers I'm sure you can probably go to and order, but like once again you're gonna have that issue where it's like if it doesn't fit, then you're gonna have to find a tailor. There's a lot of different things with that, so it's up to you if you're wanting to invest the time and also like just going out there and trying to find that kind of stuff. So it's a trade-off where it's like, all right, would you want to just invest a little bit more money, or do you want to just go and spend all your time doing all of that? So I know with attorneys,
You're
they
a
usually-
one-stop shop.
I'm a one-stop shop, so it's like, you pay for the convenience. That's kind of the long and short of it. You pay for the convenience, you pay for the service. So with attorneys, I know time is money. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Hey, I mean, technically you're exactly right.
Yeah, so.
And it brings me to another question. When I'm wearing a suit, I oftentimes will go through the debate in my head whether I want to do the handkerchief or not. Question number one, is it called a handkerchief or is there a better word for it?
Is it a hanky?
No, I didn't know. Maybe is there
I
another?
like that. That's still cute to me.
Is there another word for it, or is that what you call
No,
it?
just handkerchief, pocket square. You can
Pocket
use
Pocket square. I knew there was
square.
something better. Handkerchief
Yeah,
sound. I feel like a
handkerchief,
loser.
pocket square. I mean, yeah, with handkerchief, I feel like you're like using it to blow your nose.
Yeah,
With the silk, and
Which
it's ill-advised.
actually that
is
you
what it's
know,
for.
or something.
Technically
Yeah,
so.
so pocket squares, yeah, then that's really like a fun look too, especially if you have a lot of guys who are like, I don't want to wear a tie, but I still want something that's a little bit more of a flair. So you'll see that a lot too, guys going sans ties and opting for a pocket square to still have that fancy, elegant look without maybe the tie. So
I see a lot of colorful socks these days. When I'm wearing a suit, sometimes I'll even throw on like some blue, like really blue socks or something like that, just because I've seen other people do it and it looks kind of fun. I mean, people are having fun with socks these days, right? Give us an idea. Let's say you're wearing a gray suit or something other than like just your regular
Sure.
standard black suit. What color socks can I get away with?
So lavenders and purples look really elegant with like charcoal. So it's a good kind of mix up because it's a contrasting color. So would recommend that. Pink is always a fun one to do with like anything with a charcoal color, darker color. So if you want to have a little bit more fun, have those tones in there too. It looks excellent with darker charcoals, blacks, or anything like that
Do
too.
they still make Argyle stuff?
They do, but they shouldn't.
Oh.
Just kidding. Unless you're going to a golf party.
I've got a whole drawer full.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's going back the other way. A lot of guys are not doing fun socks anymore. Like if you go to London and stuff, they're starting to do solid socks again.
How about White Sox?
Maybe not white socks. with like slip-on shoes, yeah, you're gonna do that maybe.
With some
White
sandals?
Some sandals.
White
I
socks
would
and sandals?
definitely do that.
Some Crocs.
Crocs.
Super
ooh.
fashion forward. You heard it here.
So I was up in Boston, as was Allie Mack the other day, and all the dudes in Boston were wearing shorts with like a loafer type shoe, no socks. Explain this to me, because I'd like to give it a shot. I don't know if I'll keep it up,
Yeah.
but I'd try it like once or twice. What does this look? Tell me about this.
Honestly, I would go for like the no-show socks
Yeah.
versus the no socks. So it still gives you that look without the hygiene issue with that.
That's what I was thinking. I mean,
so with that, you actually sweat about a half a pint of sweat every time you wear your shoes. That's on average.
so let's think about it like
So
this.
it's kind of gross.
That's a lot of sweat.
With,
That's a lot of sweat.
with socks, is it more or less?
It's
You also sweat with socks, right?
You sweat with socks. It's gonna be that way too. It's just the socks might absorb a little bit, but yeah, with the shoes, that's why it's also good to have at least wear your shoes just once a week. You shouldn't be wearing it more than once a week because with that, then there's a lot of bacteria, there's a lot of germs. You're not able to air out the shoes, so you should have at least a week rotation of different shoes that you can wear and wear only
I
once a
hate
week.
to hear you say
So,
that.
yeah. You're gonna
How
run
many
through it.
times
You
a
might
week
run
You're
through your
looking at
fingers.
these shoes, girl.
Yeah.
This is it.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard something about wearing shoes and how many times a week you should wear them, and I have a lot of questions about that. One more segment ahead. We're
Love
going to
it.
figure out how many times a week you can get away with wearing the same shoes. I thought it was a lot. Sounds like it might have been a little bit less than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Justin Clark with you, Behind the Law on Bud 94.1.
You're killing me. I mean,
I know, we're just
really?
gonna have to soup you up.
Go back
You
and
need help. You need a lot of help right now.
I mean, I've only had these a year.
That's a year's
Yeah, it's a
worth
lot of
of
Now,
It's a common
where?
misconception.
You're right. No,
Yeah,
you're
it's
right. Well,
You gotta
rotate
rotate it out.
We're sandals.
I look like an idiot in sandals. I really do.
Sandals and
I
socks.
look like I should have a Bible in my hand here on the mount here.
All right. We ready?
This is the
All
last.
right, this is the last
All right,
chance.
don't
So
shock
anything
us,
else
don't
you guys
shock
want me to
us.
know?
I'm totally gonna shock you.
If I missed anything?
Do
Did I
you
miss
have any
anything?
specials that you're doing, or is it, when is it better, like, I wanna know
Yeah, I
when it's
do have
better
some
to
summer
buy
deals
the
going on
suits.
right now, and like for shirts and stuff. But that'd be about it. Nothing too crazy.
Just
Yeah.
to-
Yeah. And then obviously new clients, we got some special incentives for them too. So.
And if you mention Justin Clark, you'll get what?
Treated poorly.
A ration of what?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. I feel like I'm not doing something right here. Started a new one, but it's still freaking. Welcome back to the program. My name is Justin Clark. One more segment ahead of Behind the Law, your daily source for all things legal and not legal. Mick Dolan is here. Allie Mack is
Really,
here.
I love the way you said that.
3, 2, 1. I just don't want to
Legal
lie.
and not legal, Mick Dolan is here.
I don't want to lie to you. 3, 2, 1,
The
282.
life I live here.
1055 www.youhavepower.com. Alyssa Green is joining us today. She's teaching us how to dress, ladies and gentlemen.
Boy, she is.
She works at Tom James. This is the company that will actually come to you, take your measurements, and give you clothing, especially suits for men, that sort of thing. Give you clothing that's tailored just to fit you perfectly. I will tell you, when you get a tailored suit, it just feels a little bit different. I realize you might have to pay a couple extra bucks, but there's just a difference. I mean, the tailored part of it really makes a world of difference. You feel like powerful. You know, you go into that meeting, you're like, damn, I look good. Well, I don't think that normally, but that's what I've heard.
Well, I'm
other
here to
people-
help you with
That's
that,
what I've
so
heard.
we're
That's
good.
what I've heard other people say.
It's
But
I got
psychological.
goals.
You should have a good rotation, probably like a 2-week rotation once again of shoes to match. But
2 weeks.
but I will say a week, honestly, to let it air out, to let it like not
What
have
if
the
you leave your
moisture
shoes
that-
outside the house,
Allie's just trying to, she's like, I'm just like finding ways, where can we cut corners
Oh,
here?
yeah. I mean,
Well then you have another set of problems with like wildlife and such. We do live in
Oh,
Florida,
that's
so it's
well,
up to
I
you if
wouldn't-
you want to take that
I wouldn't think
gamble.
changing shoes every day would be a problem for a woman, but for a man,
It's tough.
come on.
I mean, yeah. And where should I leave the shoes? I mean, I just put the shoes in my closet. Is
Yeah.
there a better place to keep them?
Honestly,
To air them out?
if you have like good, like I mean, you can leave them
Ventilation?
out. Yeah, ventilation there. Also having shoe trees in the shoes can kind of help too, because what that does is allow a little bit more air to incorporate it. When you have the shoe tree in there, it kind of raises it up and also keeps the shape of the shoe a little
Yeah.
bit better. So that's another way too. And not to mention, most of the time it's made of cedar. So what that does, it also absorbs moisture as well. So,
Yeah, if you have a cedar closet, it's even
Mhm.
better
Yeah.
for all your clothes.
Who has a cedar closet?
Nobody.
Apparently Mick
I
does.
know.
Nobody.
Yeah?
I cleaned the house one time, and it had cedar closets, that's. close
I didn't even
to
know there was
that.
such a thing as a cedar
I
closet.
didn't
This is
know either.
legit.
Oh, there is.
yeah, legit.
Really?
Wow.
This shoe thing it really got me down though. Pilar, if you're listening, by the way, keep ordering.
We need to.
She ordered a pair of brown shoes for me the other day, and I thought I hit the jackpot. I was like, I'll wear these things every day till they don't look good anymore.
Well,
Now
if
we're
they
finding out I
fit-
need 10 other pairs.
Yeah.
Or
Well, you
9.
can always get if you want to get the same pair, if you really love a pair, get a couple of those, that's fine too. I mean, get them in maybe a couple different shades of brown. You can do a chili color, mahogany is a little bit darker, have a walnut,
Let me ask you another question about tuxedos. Most of us don't wear tuxedos very often, maybe once or twice a year, once every couple of years at that. We have to go to some special event. Many times, people who don't own a tuxedo will just rent the tuxedo, right? Or maybe if you're going to wear it every once a year or so, buy one. I mean, what makes more financial sense, to rent or to buy when it comes to tuxedos?
Tuxedos last a long time, so especially if you get a classic style for it. So I honestly, it depends on how much you go to an event, but if you're going twice a year, I would definitely recommend buying a tuxedo. So if it's twice a year, going to events of some sort, have like a tuxedo, and then also maybe have a dinner jacket too to kind of mix it up a little bit.
All right, so speaking of tuxedos, back in the day, everyone would just wear the bow tie with the tuxedo,
Sure.
of course, but I think that's changed a little bit over time. I mean, what is allowable for a fancy black tie event? What kind of tie can I wear? Does it have to be a bow tie? Can it be a tie? Help me understand this.
Sure, of course. It just depends on the shirt too. If you're wearing a pleated shirt, you probably want to go with a bow tie or something along the lines of that. If it's a shirt that's just your standard white, you want to go with classic or something like that. Of course, then you can wear a normal standard tie, maybe like a black tie or something like that. So it's kind of up to you. I see a lot of guys now, depending on the event, if it's a little bit more like fun and casual, some guys will even go with no tie and they'll just do black suit and then have like white shirts. I've seen that, or even just solid black. So I've seen like a lot of monochromes like kind of colors where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna do all navy, it's gonna be all navy. So you'll see that sometimes too.
Were vests invented to make us guys feel skinnier? I'm serious, I don't know. I mean, I don't see any point in these vests whatsoever other than to tuck in my belly. Do you know why they were invented?
So honestly, I love vests, and here's why. In Florida, we have it where it's like you're dying in heat. It's the middle of summer. Some guys will like, oh man, I still have to look nice. I still have to dress up. I still have to wear a suit, and I don't really want to wear a jacket. So what's the beauty of a vest is you're still gonna look fancier than 95% of the people who are just in shirt and slacks.
If
It also gives you, if you're wearing a vest, and it gives you that
It does still
lightweight
make you
option.
look
Yeah.
a little
That's a vest
dressier.
with no
So
coat.
a vest with no coat is still will make you look dressy without having that like, oh, I have to wear a jacket. It's gonna be hot, but it
Is
just
there a
depends.
particular time in the year that we should purchase a suit, or is it just whenever we want, or is it?
Honestly, it's kind of wherever you want. I would recommend now more than anything because usually we have lighter weight fabrics out right now. So doing it in summertime, you have spring and summer fabrics that are on reduction. We also have ones that are still in stock. So versus going for like the fall where it's a little bit heavier fabrics, for Florida, it's actually a perfect time to do your shopping for that stuff now.
Do you give any discounts for first time?
Absolutely,
clients?
yeah. So we do have some deals right now. If you do for shirts, we include the monogram and first-time clients, and then I do have some deals. If you mention the show, we can talk about some deals. But yeah, first and foremost, book the appointment, and then of course talk to me, and we can walk you through the steps.
So it's half price if you mention it.
Hey, I didn't
McDonald's.
say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. Let's not get crazy.
So-
but we can hook up something.
Back in the olden days, it was a sign of wealth to like eat a lot and drink a lot and be fat, right? You remember? I read about that. No, it was like back in the old days. It was a sign of wealth if you were fat because that means you had enough money to eat a lot and drink a lot.
You mean in the Roman days?
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
My
Taking it way back.
Slept through history.
That's way back.
That's
Way
So,
back.
all right, so that's a fact. At least that's what it said in the history book, right? That being said, I can't figure out why we ever invented this whole jacket look anyway. All right, so is it because it was cool to be fat, but yet you wanted to still cover it up? I mean, what is the point of jackets, you think, guys? I really have no idea. Do you think it's like to make us look better or slimmer, or why would these jackets have ever been invented?
It's an
Not a
invention.
jacket like in cold weather because it's cold jacket. It's not like a suit
As
jacket.
far as like a
I
dress.
think it's an invention of the fashion industry. That's all. I mean, really.
I mean, it's been around for a long time. It's one
Was
of
it
those
created as
slugs.
an accessory maybe, just
I
like?
think it started just more utility as far as like, you know, you have like weather changes, weather climates, and also professions. Different jackets actually meant different things back in the day. So it's like you can
Doctors.
see, yeah, doctors. A lot of the time, actually, funny story. When doctors, a long time ago, they would have to meet patients and then go straight back into surgery. I'm sure some of the orthopedic surgeons probably know what I'm talking about here on listening to the show. But I was saying, basically they would have to go and meet people, so they'd get all bloody and gross, so they'd have these jackets to kind of cover up the fact that they have blood on their shirt and stuff, so they'd throw on the jackets, meet the people, and then have to go back into surgery. So another thing that was invented was called surgeon sleeves, and you'll see it on custom garments. So basically, the last few buttons, you can actually undo them, and that's something that you can see in custom. So you can actually roll up your, like, it came from surgeon sleeves where you had to roll up your sleeves before. So they go into surgery, have the jackets, and then, you know, have to meet people. So it's like,
She's good.
Yeah, no
she
doubt
is
about it.
good.
Really
Yeah.
good.
All right, so another question from a dude perspective, right? So when I was in law school up in Boston, I would walk to class. You know, it was cold out, but you'd wear like 27 jackets, and by the time you got to school, you're actually already sweaty because you've been in the subway, and I was getting sweat stains in my shirt on just one side, right? And then this never happened. It stopped,
Whoa.
and it never happened again for years and years until just recently. I looked down on my shirt and I was like, is that a sweat stain on my shirt? It's just been happening again recently.
Just on one side.
Well, yeah, or
one
maybe
side?
sometimes a little bit both now. And why does this happen? And what can guys do to prevent this? Do you know?
for
Or-
sweat, I mean, obviously maybe get like a prescription strength.
Maybe you
Oh.
need to go to the doctor.
Maybe you need to go to the doctor, and that's not
Change
like a
your
chemical
diet.
imbalance or
Doctor.
something like that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We need a
I will
dietitian
say,
in there.
with the jackets and stuff too, when you're dealing with like something that's a lighter weight material, you probably, if you have synthetics in your suits and stuff or your jackets, sometimes that will make you sweat more because it's not as breathable. So check the labels. If it has polyester in it, it's surprisingly more weight and actually a little bit hotter than you would if you do something that's 100% wool. And also check the quality of the wool too. Because like for instance, in this, I'm not sweating at all, and I'm a sweater. I can tell you right now, I'm a sweater, no bones about it. But I'm not sweating at all.
I
in
open
my
up,
jacket.
guest opens
So,
up.
you know, so it's one of those things where it's like if you invest a little bit more, like this one's like silk and cashmere, so it's actually really lightweight. So you would think, a lot of people are like cashmere. I'm like, no, it's actually really light. So depending on the cashmere you got.
All right, so let's be clear about this. We live in Florida. I'm a lawyer. I'm going to court every day. What type of suit is best to deal with the Florida heat?
Okay. Obviously worsted wool. I would do something.
So I don't mean to cut you off,
What do you mean?
but when you say wool, I automatically think igloo.
No, it's
that's what you wear into the
worsted-
igloo.
Yeah.
It's different. Woolen wool and worsted wool are two different things. Worsted wool actually has like the fibers that are cut down, so it's actually really fine. It's actually even lighter weight than even some of your jeans or even cottons sometimes that you would even wear. So I have people who are shocked because they're like, this is wool when they put on their pants, and they're like, this feels like lighter than any pair of pants I've ever had. So worsted wool is a little bit different. It also has to do with the quality of the wool that you're dealing with too. So just because you're wool, don't get hung up on that word unless it says woolen. If it's a woolen, then that means it's like heavier, it's got like more fibers to it. That's what you think of when you're thinking of like a sweater or something
So
like that.
woolen rather
Yeah.
than wool.
So go worsted wool.
Worsted wool.
Worsted wool, that one's where they cut the fibers and they actually make it a little bit finer and press it into a finer fabric.
My dad used to say Washington, similar.
Worsted, yeah.
That is Alyssa Green, Tom James Clothing Company. More information can be found where?
You can go to a.green at Tom James and email me if you want to set up a consultation, and also 321-230-2993 is my personal cell phone, and then you can also set up an appointment with me there.
For the beautiful Brianna, who made sure we were live on the internet and all over the internet, and for Allie Mack, my co-host. Orlando radio legend McDolan, I don't know much,
What's that?
but I do know one little thing.
Yeah.
I will see you right back here tomorrow on Bud 94.1.
94.1.
Thanks, guys.
I was about to.
You're good, girl. You're good.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right.
Good try.
Thanks for watching.
So I